Furelise, the mystery of the world's most popular piano piece. I'm about to put the lid down on the piano keyboard in my 6th grade music class when a particularly animated student runs up to me and says excitedly, "Teacher, I can play Furelise." I encourage her to do so, but the result is just the famous first 4 notes. An E and the D sharp below it, repeated, played back and forth in endless seesaw. I tell her I think there's more to it than that, but she is happy just knowing the first notes. Though not particularly musically gifted, nor a fan of much music outside of pomp, she is mesmerized by this little classical piano piece written more than 200 years ago. So are millions and millions of others. The popularity of Beethoven's intermediate-level bagatelle is astonishing. I can count on the fingers of one hand the number of my beginning piano students who have not at some point asked, "When will I get to play Furelise?" Google reports millions of searches for Furelise each month. A YouTube performance of it, posted 16 years ago, has registered 59 million views, and a YouTube tutorial on the piece has garnered 53 million hits. What is the root of its unrivaled popularity? Why this piece? And not a Chopin prelude or a Bach minuet or even the first movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata? It demands some looking into. Let's start with a bit of history. There isn't much, and what there is cloudy. We know from the title that it was written for Elise, but who was she? The original manuscript is said to have read, translated from the German, for Elise on 27th April as a reminder, or as a memento. These words, which are rarely mentioned when the piece is written about, indicate a past relationship with Elise, but what sort of relationship? The two possibilities that come readily to mind are student and romantic interest. In 1810, Therese Malfatti, age 18, was both, making her a prime candidate. What? I thought we were looking for someone named Elise. Here's where it gets tricky. Beethoven apparently thought very little of what 2 centuries down the line would become an earth-shaking keyboard hit. He never bothered to publish it, despite a great demand for his music. The composer died in 1827, 17 years after composing Furelise, and the piece languished another 40 years before its publication in 1867 by the musicologist Ludwig Noll. Noll claimed that Fräulein Babette Bredel of Munich had given him a signed manuscript of the composition, and that Bredel, in turn, claimed she'd received the manuscript from Baroness Therese Malfatti upon the latter's death in 1851. In 1810, Malfatti had been a student of Beethoven. The composer reputedly fell in love with her, one of his more common practices, and proposed marriage. She declined, Beethoven being more than twice her age. There was no title to the Bredel-Malfatti manuscript, just a dedication. For Noll, this piano rondo, a work having the structure ABACA, seemed like one of the composer's bagatelles, of which he had written 24. Bagatelle means something like a trifle or simple piece, so he brought it out as Bagatelle number 25 in A minor. Above the title he inscribed the dedication as he read it in the autograph score, for Elise, and the rest is history. Well, not quite. Some had speculated that Noll misread the dedication, which was actually for Therese, lending strength to the theory that Therese Malfatti was the dedicatee. After all, the manuscript was in her possession at the time of her death. While it's hard to see how the distinctive initial letters T and H could be confused with the letter E, and equally challenging to understand how the remaining letters could be mistaken for others, it is true that Beethoven's handwriting was as notoriously sloppy as his housekeeping. If only we could examine the original signed manuscript. But we can't. It's lost. This casts doubt on the whole enterprise. How could anyone lose track of such an important manuscript? Could it have been lost deliberately in order to cover up fraud? One contemporary musicologist, Luca Ciantore, has even suggested that there never was an autograph score, that Noll simply cobbled the piece together from some of Beethoven's sketches. Supporting this thesis is the curious fact that Teresa Malfatti, assuming there was indeed an autograph score in her possession, did not publish it herself. A baroness, she surely could have afforded to do so, and just imagine the prestige accompanying the posthumous publication of a work by Beethoven dedicated to you. Had she done this, we all might be playing for Therese. Dig deeper, and the layers produce still more mystery. A sketch from 1808 has been discovered that is a fairly complete version of the A theme, the opening tune that my student knew the first 4 notes of. Did Beethoven keep the sketch until 1810, then add the other two sections? It turns out that the year 1810 cannot be confirmed as the year of the work's composition, though it's the best bet based on available scholarship. And still we ask, who was Elise? Sticking with the accepted, if not 100% confirmed year of 1810, and eliminating Teresa Malfatti because she was not named Elise, and handwriting mistakes can only account for so much, we have two remaining candidates. 1. Elisabeth Rokel. In 2010, musicologist Klaus Martin Kopitz produced evidence linking Beethoven romantically to Rokel, a soprano, around the time of the piece's composition. The singer was sometimes called Elise by friends. 2. Elise Barenfeld. In 2014, musicologist Rita Steblin made a case for the only candidate whose given name actually was Elise. In 1810, Barenfeld was 13, living near Beethoven in a house belonging to Johann Maelzel, a friend of Beethoven's who later invented the metronome. Regarded as a piano prodigy, Elise may have taken lessons with Beethoven. If so, he may very well have written the piece in memory of their time together as teacher and student. Personally, I vote for Elise Barenfeld. Not only is she the only one with that given name, but furelise does not feel like a romantic composition. Rather, it has the character of a personality portrait. My interpretation, the A section is a musical picture of the student, Elise. It captures her youth and freshness. The B section is, perhaps, a piece assigned to the student. When its relative difficulty frustrates her, she breaks into the angry-sounding 30-second notes that conclude the section before returning to the A theme. The C section is surely Beethoven himself, a smiling self-portrait of his irascible reputation. After a few student-like arpeggios and a chromatic scale, we return to the A section one last time. That furelise is the portrait of a student rather than a romantic interest is supported by the fact that it is a student favorite, not a Valentine's Day tune or a courting song. It's a piano piece about playing the piano. Young pianists hear themselves in it and rejoice, for which we have Beethoven, and whoever Elise was, to thank.